If you're looking for low maintenance and easy shrubs to grow, congratulations, you landed on the right video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Lane. I've been managing my family's garden center business, S&K Greenhouse, for the last 10 years, and I make these videos to dispel the myth of a green thumb and prove that anyone can be a successful gardener. With that said, let's jump in. What if I told you there was a shrub that you would never have to prune, it would grow nice and compact and look beautiful year round? Well, I got it right here. This is a Hetz Midget Arborvitae. Now, through this video, I'm gonna be talking a lot about Arborvitaes. Arborvitaes is just a western red cedar. There's hundreds of varieties of them. This one's Hetz Midget Arborvitae, and they call it that because it's a very low grower. It's gonna get maybe 2 to 3 foot tall. It grows nice and rounded and dense, and it pairs well with a lot of different shrubs. I can see this one maybe going down a border, a mass planting even. And right beside it is another Arborvitae. Now, I planted these in a video last year around my house. I really love Fire Chief Arborvitae because it's the same way. It's a nice, compact, dense, round shape, and as the weather cools off, it turns red, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm moving a little fast today because there's a lot of shrubs to talk about. This is a gold mop cypress. Check out the frilly texture of this. I absolutely love this shrub. It is fairly low maintenance and very easy to grow, but it will get maybe 4 feet tall. I mean, in Bruce's video, he called it a gold thread cypress. That's another name for it. His is probably like 4 or 5 feet tall, but still, it's just hard to beat that color and texture. It definitely deserves a spot in your landscape. Now, I've got them placed beside Crimson Fire Lorepetalum. Now, we did that on purpose to show you just the contrast. You know, if you had this planted in front of your house and you had the gold in the background and the purple up front, wow, that's just absolutely stunning. And you could probably see it from a mile away. When your neighbors or friends come over, they'd probably be jaw dropped. Crimson Fire is a fairly compact Lorepetalum. It's definitely not the old school ones that get, 8 or 10 feet tall. This is probably going to be like a 4 by 4. I do have some of these planted at our sign, and that's about what they've been for the last few years. Now, moving right along, beside it is another Arborvitae. Now, this one is probably going to be like a 4 by 4. Again, nice rounded shape. You don't prune this one. Look how it looks with Lorepetalum. Absolutely beautiful, because I believe that in a landscape, if you can get a lot of textures and colors blended together, that's what makes it so beautiful. Now, I talk a lot about Arborvitaes, and here at the nursery, we sell a lot of Arborvitaes because they grow in a lot of different zones. They're adaptable to a lot of different soils, and they just pretty much thrive on their own after they get established. They love part sun or full sun, but in the shade, they'll grow. Me and Bruce talked about this in our yard tour. They'll grow, but they lose a little bit of color and they won't grow quite as dense. Look at that Japanese maple tucked in right beside the Lorepetalum and the golden clove. That's a Crimson Queen maple. Now, this fall, it is about to turn like a beautiful burgundy red color, and it probably won't last here long. Now, over here is my favorite Lorepetalum. This one came out a few years ago. I loved it so much. I did a lot of these at my house last year. I planted these. This is about a 3 foot by 3 foot Lorepetalum. Lorepetalums, let me just say this. You will have to prune eventually. They're not going to just stop growing. But some of them, like this one, grow slower than others. And they really, really, really pair well with gold shrubs or dark green shrubs. And they also thrive in part sun or shade. This next shrub gets me so excited, I could burst. Candy corn spirea. This is a proven winter shrub. It came out, I'm not sure, maybe a year or two ago. Candy corn spirea is awesome. Just look at the color on this. What? Now, here we are in the month of August at the time of filming this. I'm going into fall, but isn't that perfect for fall time? It actually looks like this as soon as it leaves out. Yes, it does lose its leaves, but I still think you gotta put it in the landscape somewhere. Now, everything I've showed you prior to this one is evergreen. This one's deciduous, but look at that. That's absolutely incredible. You're not going to find colors on a shrub much better than this. Now it does flower in the spring also, like most spireas, like a pinkish red flower. So, you know, on top of that foliage, my goodness. And again, low maintenance and easy. This only gets about 2 feet tall. What more could you ask for? Now right beside it, I've got another Lorepetalum. Look at the variegation on it. This one's called Jazz Hands. And like, look at this together. This is insane. I mean, it doesn't even look real. Like, if you planted these shrubs at your house, like, people be like, are those real? Like, this is just not your typical shrubs. I love Jazz Hands because it's going to get maybe like 3 or 4 feet tall and wide, more like 4 feet by 4 wide if you don't prune. But just keep it pruned once a year. Stay that way. It gets, it does really well in part or full sun. It's an evergreen, just like other Lorepetalums. And if you pair it with something, you know, like this or dark green, it's going to look really, really good in the landscape. Another one of my favorite shrubs, Abelia Kaleidoscope. Look at this. Look at this. It even flowers. Now, when I talk about shrubs, people want something, or people come in the nursery and they're like, I want something that blooms and is evergreen. And I'm like, that eliminates a lot, but there are some exceptions. This is one of them. This keeps its tropical foliage year round. In the fall time, it gets more intense, like a deep reddish orange. And check out the white flowers. Now, it primarily blooms in the spring, but sometimes you get some more blooms scattered throughout the summer and fall. Now, we've purposely put them beside Lorepetalum because it just looks so good together. We sell this combination a lot because if you put this in front of your house, you might cause a wreck if you're close to the road. You may not think of hollies as low maintenance, but the soft touch holly is low maintenance. It's about a 3x3, thrives in part or full sun. It can actually take a lot of shade. You can see right here, the new growth is like this lime green, and it looks really good against the old growth, which is like a darker green. But it's a bulletproof shrub. It's very adaptable to many different soils and zones. There's not much not to like about this. You might have to prune every once in a while to keep that nice, tidy shape. Let me show you something that will go good with it that I forgot. This Blue Star Juniper. Now I walked right by this. This is a great juniper. You know, when you talk about junipers, you think they're like a ground cover that's going to go like 3-4 foot tall. Not Blue Star. Blue Star is more of a mounding juniper. That's evergreen. That keeps its blue color year round. There's not a lot of blue evergreens, so I love this one. Check these out together. I mean, that's a heck of a combo. Blue Star is going to get about a foot tall and maybe 2 feet wide. I planted like 6 of these in front of my house last year. I absolutely love them. Get compliments every time somebody comes over. Now, we almost walked by them. This is green giant Arborvitae. Now you're going to say, what can I use this for? Well, it's really, really great for privacy screens or maybe a corner piece on a foundation, but you got to watch out. This does grow like a Leland Cypress, except for it's way better. It's going to get 20, 25 feet tall, 10 feet wide. Why do I say it's better than a Leland Cypress? Well, it doesn't get the spider mites or the bagworms as bad. Now, I have seen bagworms on these, but it's not as common. And it keeps a nice, tidy shape. So in the spirit of low maintenance shrubs, I like this one, even though it does get larger and you have to have a lot of space for. Or if you're just trying to make a screen to block out your neighbors, plant this one. It grows really fast. Let's talk about Nandinas. I've got several here. Now, this one's a little more common. This is Gulfstream. Now, I love Nandinas for the fall time and winter time because as the weather cools off, they turn like a pinkish red color. It's very cool. And they're evergreen. This one's been out a while. You can see it's got like the older growth is a dark green and the newer growth is like a feathery orange-red color, which will intensify as the weather cools off. It's going to grow maybe 4x4, maybe 3x3, somewhere in there. Now, this is not the same shrub. This is pomegranate and Pomegranate Nandina. This is a first edition shrub. They came out with this one. This is fairly new, actually. It's very similar to Gulfstream. But what I love about pomegranate, in the summer, fall, before it gets cold, in spring, it's got like a peachy color to it. It's a little different than the Gulfstream, but this one also stays more compact. It's going to be more of like a 3x3. It thrives in part to full sun, and this could pair well with so many different things, pretty much anything, because the texture and the leaf is just very different. I've got two other Nandinas to show you, and I'm very excited about them. We have Obsession. Now, Obsession is the most compact Nandina that has come out so far, I believe. It's about a 2x2. It has a lot of that feathery texture. It does turn red in the fall and winter as the weather cools off, and it was put out by Southern Living. It is evergreen. It does thrive in part to full sun, and I'll show you another Nandina right here. This one is Firepower. Now, it has a totally different leaf texture. This is an old standby right here. Firepower doesn't grow quite as tidy, but it does have a very interesting leaf, and this will turn like blood red in the fall. And I just thought, you know, heck, in the spirit of low maintenance, easy to grow shrubs, we got to include Firepower, especially Obsession if you want like no maintenance. I don't know why I'm so like jacked up this morning. Alex is looking at me like, what are you doing, dude? I'm just excited, okay? I woke up like on fire like Richard Pryor. All right, let's talk about Encore azaleas. People want evergreens that bloom also. Here is another exception, like the Abelia I showed you. What I love about Encores, they can take part or full sun. The older azaleas didn't. You know, they had to grow in total shade or part shade. This can take the full sun. In fact, it does better with more sun. That'll get the blooms going. Let's talk about the blooms on these. This one, I think, is Fire. Yeah, Autumn Fire. Check out the bloom. It's like a double dark red bloom. And what I love, again, about these Encore azaleas, they bloom multiple times a year, not just in the spring. They're going to bloom spring, summer, and fall. Guess what else? They stay compact. Yes, this one stays really compact. It's different from the other ones, but it may be like 3x3 or 4x4 on these, and they come in a million different colors. There's purples, pinks, reds, whites, lavender. Like, there's one that's variegated called Twist. It's like a variegated white and purple. You gotta have some Encore azaleas if you want some blooms and an evergreen. All right, I do have another color to show you. This one's Autumn Empress, same principle. Come in and look at these blooms. Absolutely stunning. And this is fall time and we still are getting blooms. Autumn Empress is a great one to plant. All right, I'm excited to show you this one. This is Bananappeal Illicium. All right, I've showed you a lot of shrubs for sun or part sun. You're like, I got a lot of shade. What can I grow? Illicium or anise, especially Bananappeal Illicium, because it's like a 3x3, maybe even shorter if you just keep it pruned every once in a while. It's an evergreen, but come here and look at the foliage. Like, it's beautiful, bright yellow, and guess what? It stays this way year round. If you got a lot of shade, this will definitely brighten up the space. Now, right beside it is another variety called Florida Sunshine. It's another Illicium, but if you need just a little bit more height, this one's going to get about 4 to 5 feet tall. Again, this is like a 3x3 and pretty much the same leaf and color. Now, before we walk on by them, let's skedaddle over here to this side, because let's talk about some more Arborvitaes that have maybe more of a pyramidal upright shape. This one is Emerald Green. Now, what I love about Emerald Green, it stays nice and tidy. This has not been pruned, and when it grows, it won't look like it's been pruned, but it'll get about 8, 10, maybe even 12 feet tall, but only 4 feet wide. So if you're trying to block out the neighbors, you need some height, but you don't want it to get, you know, real wide like the Green Giant or Leland Cypress. This one's great because it's going to kind of stay to itself and make a good privacy screen or a corner planting if you can afford the height there. Definitely evergreen, part sun, full sun, and right beside it is my favorite Arborvitae. I say that about every Arborvitae. But seriously, this one is Forever Goldy. Now you've seen this at my house, you've seen this at Bruce's house. We're like obsessed with this plant. It's year-round golden foliage. In the fall time, it's going to turn more of a burnt orange color and never loses its leaves. It stays nice and tidy, no pruning like you would a holly. And it only gets maybe 5 or 6 feet tall, very slow growing. And with this color, like, it will look good with anything. Like, just for example, look at it with this holly. Look at it with this Nandina. Absolutely beautiful, nothing. I mean, people come in a lot and they're like, I don't even know where I'm putting that. People come in, they're like, I got a spot, I need some height, but I don't want it to like take over my house. Something with roots that won't destroy my foundation. That shrub right there. While we're talking about upright shrubs that are low maintenance, let's talk about the sky pencil holly. This is also called a pencil tree, and it stays extremely narrow, never gets more than 2 feet wide, gets about 6 feet tall, evergreen, and you never really prune it this way. You'd prune it this way to keep the height you want. So once it gets to that height, chop it off, and you probably have to do that once a year. This is really good beside steps or like corner plantings, and it's great for a shrub that doesn't get out of control and stays very narrow. Now let's back up right here for you shade people who said, I got a lot of shade, you're showing me a lot of full sun stuff. Let me bring out 2. Now this is yews. Another name, Latin name, cephalotaxis or something like that. All right, look, part sun or shade. Now mine gets a lot of afternoon sun and it still does well. This is Duke Gardens Yew. It was developed at Duke University. It's an evergreen. It gets about 4 by 4. It's tolerable to a lot of different soils. And pretty much this one beside it is Yew Fastigiata. Fastigiata is just upright. So this is kind of like the pencil tree I showed you, but it's a yew. So that means if you got a lot of shade, it'll still take the shade. And it's really great for like a corner planting also. These two are great with like, check out this together. If you have a shade area and you want to plant something in front of your house that's evergreen and something that's going to knock your eyeballs out, plant these two together. I'd probably keep this one in the back and I'd keep this one more in the front. Look at that combo. For shade, like, come on. Let's move on to some blooming shrubs because I know all you bloom lovers are getting tired of these evergreens. Check out this butterfly bush right here. Grand Cascade. And they call it grand because look at this bloom. It's like bigger than my head. This is gonna bloom all summer, thrives in part or full sun. It's gonna really bring in the pollinators. Plant this around your garden, you will never have a pollination issue probably in your life. It's gonna get about 4 feet tall. Again, Grand Cascade. But if you're saying that's too big, I want a butterfly bush that stays more compact, let me show you a couple more options. Proven Winners came out with the Pugster series not too long ago, and I have 2 Pugsters here. Pugster Amethyst, which is this color. It's like a lilac slash purple color, and Pugster Blue. Now these are both great because they're going to bloom from spring to fall, and they freaking I'm like losing my breath. Hang on a second. Whew. Now these are probably the most compact butterfly bushes that are out there. You can expect these to only get maybe 2 to 3 foot tall. So if you need some blooms around the house, but you don't want it to take over all your other evergreens you planted, stick with these. These are going to bloom all summer long. And right beside it is Miss Molly. Come on in, check out Miss Molly. It's a little bit more upright. Miss Molly's going to get maybe 3 to 4 feet tall. But that color, I mean, come in real close. I want y'all to see this color. Look at that. That's just so pretty. It's like a fuchsia, purplish color. Loves full sun. Will bring in the pollinators as well and give you lots of color. All right, let's move to some hydrangeas I want to talk about. Proven Winners came out with a series not too long ago. It's called Let's Dance. And in that series, there's Rhythmic Blue, which is the one I planted at my house, the one I love, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But Blue Jangles is equally as good, and in the spirit of low maintenance and easy, this one only gets about 2 to 3 feet tall. Even the tag says like 1.5 to 2 feet tall. I think it's going to be more like a 2 to 3 tall and wide. It blooms blue, but you can turn it pink. If you want it pink, just make sure to lime your soil, or make sure your soil is very sweet. And if you want it blue, make sure your soil is very acidic, and boom, you're going to have blue blooms. Now once these start blooming, they bloom all the way until frost. Now moving right beside them is Little Lime. Now they call it Little Lime because this is the dwarf version of Limelight, and the blooms start out lime, they turn more white during the summer, and then they finally turn to a blushy pink color. Not sure if it shows it on the tag. No, it doesn't. But anyway, this is a really great shrub if you want like lots of color, blooms all summer, and stays compact. Now the next two hydrangeas I'm very excited about. Proven Winners came out with these. I think these are brand new, like just hit the scene new. They are Little Lime Punch. This is a 3 to 5 foot hydrangea. Panicle blooms. Panicle hydrangeas can take part or full sun. They do better with sun. Macrophylla, or like the mop head style hydrangeas, like I showed you here with like the Let's Dance blue Jangles, not to be confused with bow Jangles. They're going to do better in shade or part sun. Now look at the tag on this. Little Lime Punch. Look at that. You can look at that tag and know immediately why they call it punch, because it's going to punch you in your face. Now the next one is Firelight Tidbit. They call it Tidbit because it's a very dwarf compact hydrangea. This is a dwarf version from the Firelight hydrangea that is more common. Firelight gets like 4 or 5 feet tall. I have one. The blooms turn like a blood red in the fall. They are absolutely stunning. This is a dwarf version of that, basically. It's going to get maybe 2 to 3 feet tall, blooms all summer long. It's another panicle style hydrangea, so it's going to do really great in part or full sun. Let's move right along to my favorite lilac bush. Now a lot of people are like, can you grow lilacs here in zone 7B? Well, yes you can, because the Bloomerang exists. It can take our heat and humidity. Now check out the blooms on this. This is another lavender colored shrub. When it starts blooming, it stays fairly compact. It's going to be like a 3 to 4 foot. I recommend pruning it every once in a while. But the fragrance is very sweet smelling. If you have this planted near your house and you walk outside, you're going to absolutely faint. Okay. Ow! Let's talk about Sunshine Ligustrum. I bet you can guess why they call it sunshine. Let me see. Yes, because it's bright as the sun. This is an evergreen shrub, also known as privet. If you ever hear privet, ligustrum, privet, same thing. This is Sunshine Ligustrum. It is about a 4 to 5 foot shrub. Yes, you're going to want to just wah every once in a while, because it's going to just if you don't. I've seen it happen. But it really does deserve a spot in your landscape. Prune it just once a year. And this is year-round color. Like, what? Are you, like, let me show you something. Can you imagine if you had Cerise charm Lorepetalum and Sunshine Ligustrum in your landscape? Like, what in the world? This would absolutely knock your neighbors down. They can't even compete. They wouldn't even want to compete. They'd probably just plant grass around their foundation and mow it, because they wouldn't even be able to like know what to do. Let's swim on to the last shrub. This is, I forgot, Fireball Burning Bush. Now this is a dwarf burning bush, but it's still going to get 5 feet tall, or 4 feet tall, which is still dwarf considering it's a burning bush. You see these things get huge, but what is awesome about these is in the wintertime or fall time, mainly fall, it's going to lose its leaves in the wintertime, but fall, look at that color, bright red. That's why they call it a burning bush. If you have this in your landscape, oh my goodness, it's gonna look like a ball of fire from a mile away. I highly recommend having these. It's probably not something I'd plant up against the house because again, it is gonna just lose all of its leaves and it's gonna get kind of tall. So I'd have it out in the landscape somewhere, maybe pair it with. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I know a lot of you keep coming back to my videos, but you haven't subscribed. So go ahead and subscribe. I'll wait while you do it. Did you do it? Okay. Anyway, we are a local nursery out here in Shelby, North Carolina. If you're close by, come on out here and see us. Yes, I will be here. I don't do videos full time. I actually help people with plants for a living. And no, I'm not going to be this jacked. I will calm down. I'll be a little more cordial. I might even be a little bit exhausted. Come on out here, see us. Until next time, become a plant person.